Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras, here with ILTV's morning briefing. On the eve of a major vote at the United Nations, President Trump is suggesting that he may actually cut foreign aid to countries that vote against his decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Both the United States and Israel are scrambling for support to defeat this resolution. It carried massive support at the UN Security Council earlier this week, until the United States used its veto power to block it full stop. If passed at the General Assembly today, however, it wouldn't be legally binding, but would certainly be an embarrassing blow to both the United States and Israel, and it would paint them as further alienated from the rest of the world. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is lobbying hard for Israeli allies, both new and old, to vote against it, or else abstain from voting altogether. Netanyahu has often boasted of his new diplomatic alliances as one of his biggest accomplishments as Prime Minister. Votes from those countries on this resolution, namely from India, Argentina, Mexico, China, Kenya, and Rwanda, will be a clear test of those claims. Despite Trump's threat of possible consequences, the international community has mostly condemned Trump's Jerusalem decision, which is why many, including the Palestinians, remain confident that the motion will carry today with massive support. The Israeli government has just unveiled a new plan to massively expand Jewish populations in the West Bank. The initiative would construct 3 new settlements in the Jordan Valley and expand existing Jewish neighborhoods behind the Green Line, thus adding a whopping 10,000 Jews to the region. There are currently 4,500 Jewish residents in the Jordan Valley, which means this plan would triple that figure. Though this kind of expansion is exactly what many on the right have long been pushing for, critics say it's a massive and illegal theft of Palestinian-owned land. And many experts argue that by expanding Jewish presence further into disputed territory, it threatens the possibility for Palestinians to establish their own borders in any two-state solution someday. But for now, this new proposal is merely in the planning stages. Permits and budgets will need to be finalized and approved to get final green light. Gov't, Bitronot, and Given Eden have been earmarked as the sites for the proposed new settlements. 3 members of a Hamas-funded cell in the West Bank have just been indicted in military court for the alleged attempted kidnapping of Knesset member Yehuda and Arabic IDF spokesperson Avichai Adrei. The 3 were arrested by the Shin Bet security services last week, and according to investigation and the suspect testimony, the small cell was researching Glick and Adrei with respect to planning the kidnapping. They then decided it would be far easier to kidnap a settler or a soldier, but by then they were already on the Shin Bet's radar. Glick, a Knesset member today for the Likud party, has been targeted before. In fact, in 2014, he was shot 4 times, and his message is certainly not popular among Muslim worshippers and the Palestinians. Glick has been and continues to be a proponent for equal access prayer at the Temple Mount, meaning that Jews would be allowed to pray there as well, but currently only Muslim prayer is permitted by the Jordanian Waqf. Despite his enemies and this latest attempt, however, Glick said that he's not afraid and will trust in the IDF, but will also, quote, certainly continue to take all the necessary precautions, end quote. Israel's Air Force One, or the plane intended for personal use by the president and prime minister, has yet to take off for use, but already it's been reported that it will require another major financial investment to prepare it for flight. Among all the controversy now surrounding the prime minister, it seems odd that the latest to come up is about his travel expenses. But the plane, which was purchased in 2016 and was meant to be airborne within a year, has already cost 360 million shekels, or about $100 million, in repairs and upgrades. Well, now the Knesset is taking a hard look at the Finance Committee for allowing what they view as superfluous spending on the government's part, specifically in regards to retroactive budget approvals of 60 million shekels for the Prime Minister's travels in 2017 and 5 million more for 2016. Finance Committee Chairman MK Moshe Gafni defended his budget decisions, saying that the retroactive approvals were for previously unplanned trips to new countries. A large portion of the public and Knesset aren't standing for it, though, demanding that future budgets be decided upon and respected. Further, they point to President Rivlin as a good example, saying he typically chooses to fly on regular commercial flights, including but not limited to flying coach or even economy. 3 Israelis have just been sentenced to nearly a decade in prison in New Zealand for attempting to smuggle 8.7 kilos of ecstasy into the country from Singapore. The 3 suspects, Viktor Borisenko, Vladislav Pechako, and Guy Shalom, will each now serve 8 years and 3 months for bringing in the $2.5 million worth of contraband through the New Zealand border. X-rays at the airport found the drugs hidden under a false bottom in their suitcases. That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.